We're at a former quarry of Canital. Canital was a granite company that produced granite for sale in the Winnipeg area. And there are two of the larger blocks that came out of the quarry, and they would be cut into tile for putting onto floor or the sides of buildings. That was the main usage of the particular blocks. They were put on huge band saws with about 10 parallel blades, and they would cut 10 slices into the rock at one time. You can see some of the drill holes in through here that were used to separate the blocks into these larger chunks. And it was very important to find blocks that would be competent and not break or fracture. So these blocks have been out here for at least 10 years' time, and they certainly haven't broken or fractured through time. So you can see the wall of the quarry where those blocks came out. And what they did is they used a fracture surface on the bottom of the quarry to separate out the blocks. So this was a natural surface, didn't have to be cut, didn't have to be blasted. This is just the way the stone broke. So as you can see up over here, the walls have stayed pretty well intact, and there isn't much in the way of fractures. There's a couple over here where a smaller block is, let's say, could be extracted out of the quarry, but most of the walls are fairly continuous. So you're able to extract just about any size of block here that you would want. So the trees now have all grown. At one time there wasn't a single tree in this quarry. Why do you have those vertical lines all over the front of the quarry face? And all those are our remnants of the drill holes that were used to separate out the blocks during the quarrying process. Is there more stone? Yes, directly below our feet. Probably there is almost an infinite amount of stone, and especially moving north and south from here. And here, if you want to see what the surface of the quarry used to look like, we can go over to this plain at the bottom of this slope. And this line here would be the same kind of surface that you see directly behind us. This is, if this part of the rock or block was removed, you would have the same undulating surface right in that quarry face. So that particular line, that undulating surface, is continuous right to the one below my feet. It just matches right up. And that's what they exploited when they wanted to remove the blocks. So this is a natural plane of surface breakage at the bottom of the quarry. Now, if you look close at the stone itself, there are huge feldspar crystals. And that's what made this stone fairly unique and special. Yeah, this was called prairie gold. That was the name of the stone. That was the one that was chosen. There wasn't much in the way of gold, but it seemed like a real unique structure. So these large feldspar crystals are these ones that they're almost 1.5 inches, maybe almost, if you wanted in centimeters, about 4 centimeters in length. And they were quite conspicuous all through the stone. It was a lighter colored stone, not a real dark pink color. It was more of a gray with these large feldspar crystals in it. Here's a mafic remnant within the actual stone, this larger portion. There's actually almost like a mafic dike coming through here, and actually it's been faulted off in the basement where the actual mafic trend ends here and then continues roughly about here. So it's been offset. On the wall of the quarry in front is a joint or a fault that goes through the quarry. I'll measure the dip of that particular structure, which is almost vertical, and I should be able to let you know exactly what the dip is. It is about 85 degrees to the west. Now you can see that this particular fault continues all the way through. And one of the things that happens on either side of the fault is alteration can be seen, where the rock is actually a bit lighter in color as opposed to what is happening further away from the rock. So there's a bit of weathering that has occurred. And what Mother Nature has done in some cases is that water will actually get into that joint and fracture and will actually lead to growing vegetation. Here is a little clump of grass that has established itself in the fault. And if we keep on following it along, now this was of course down about 2 or 3 meters below the top of the rock surface, which used to be here before it was quarried away. So all of this vegetation in through here has all happened since the quarrying ended. This was all bare rock. The area that you see now is actually something that Mother Nature has done. You can see a broken tree there, a little bit of limbs that are dropping down. That had nothing to do with the quarrying. A bad forest fire came through here and stripped off a lot of the vegetation, and it all eroded away and collapsed, and is actually sort of migrating down slope with runoff water from snow and rain. So a lot of the, let's say, lack of apparent growth on these outcrops has nothing to do with the mining or quarrying that was done here. That was just totally independent. And actually, when you compare it to the area where the quarrying is done, Mother Nature did exactly the same thing as the quarrying operator did. They removed the block from here. Yes, they disturbed the surface when they did. Is the surface revegetating? Yes. Is the surface revegetating where the forest fire occurred? Yes. In a while, you probably would not be able to know what areas were previously quarried, and it's a perfect example of a rehabilitation Mother Nature's way.